Haywood Hollywood Horse Ranch has hit some very hard times, particularly after Pops Otis Hayward Sr. was suddenly killed by falling debris, what was supposedly from an airplane explosion. The main problem stems from the fact that Otis Haywood Jr., or OJ for short, is just far too introverted to properly explain things, and daughter Emerald is far too interested in promoting only herself rather than the horses. In fact, things have gotten so bad that Otis Jr., or OJ, has had to sell some of the horses to a theme park which is run by a former child star who was the main focus of a sitcom that came to a sudden end when the chimpanzee cast member attacked everyone else. Further complicating matters is the fact the horses are mysteriously getting spooked and then just suddenly vanishing into thin air. When OJ pursues one of those horses named Ghost, he suddenly comes to the realization who's behind everything. In an attempt to prove the existence of these extraterrestrials and make some quick cash on the side, the Haywoods buy into some high-tech surveillance equipment from Fry's Electronics, which is somehow mysteriously still open in California. The installer, Angel, soon gets roped in on the scheme, and suddenly the trio is now trying to track down what these aliens exactly are up to. However, what are these aliens? Who are these aliens? What are their intentions? And what exactly does that have to do with that chimpanzee attack I mentioned earlier? This is... nope. So, yeah, I'm going to try to avoid the big spoilers as much as I can, but there is one point I'm going to have to really get into some spoiler territory, so I will put up a little point here to... or not exactly here, but when I get to the spoilers section, I'll, point and give you a time code to skip to if you want to skip that part. So, okay, so yeah, nope, this is the... new horror film from Jordan Peele, and you know what he's done before. And so from that, what are kind of the hidden messages of this one? I guess the two I would maybe come to, this is just my own thought process in all of this, so I can't say for certain that this is what it is, but I think it's sort of a combination of like a family legacy, trying to own up to a family legacy, consumerism, and also a little bit of dealing with past trauma. Like I said before, it begins with this incident on the horse ranch where their father, played by Keith David, Otis Haywood Sr., or Pops as they call him, is struck by a falling nickel from what they claim is an exploding airplane. We'll get to that bit when we get to it, but... and then from there, we then jump ahead 6 months, and they're trying to arrange a horse to be used in some type of possible music video or movie or something. I would almost say it's a music video, because they bring out this country singer who has this real thick Southern accent, and you can see that OJ, Otis Jr., is trying to explain, but he's very, you can tell he's very introverted. He just doesn't really want to talk to people. And so he's trying to explain, like, don't look the horse in the eyes, don't spook it, don't do any of that stuff. And then he has to rely on Emerald to show up and explain the history of the Haywood Horse Ranch, or the Hollywood Haywood Horses, or Haywood Hollywood Horse Ranch, that's it, yeah. And what it is that, their great-great-great-grandfather was... in the first ever motion picture Taken, it's this Bahamian jockey riding a horse, and so they carried that from here, and their little slogan is, "We've always had skin in the game." However, while she's saying this, she stops and says, "This is Otis Jr. and I'm Emerald, and I'm an actress, singer, screenwriter, director, producer." So and he's literally trying to go stop, because I need someone to. The whole time she's doing this, OJ is trying to get her to stop, because I need someone to better articulate how to handle the horse so it doesn't spook and accidentally hurt someone. And the horse gets spooked and it accidentally almost hurts someone. So, yeah, it falls through. And that leads us to this little... at first I thought it was like a carnival, but really it's more of a theme park out in the desert being run, like I said, by this former child actor named... I believe it's Ricky Park. I can't remember the exact... I can't remember his last name. I had to look up his first name. It's just they just say Ricky. And he was a child star. He was in a bunch of... He was in like a... I would almost put him in sort of an Olsen Twins category, where he's in these kind of cheesy direct-to-video movies. Like, you remember how the Olsen Twins used to make those old detective movies? Or the You're Invited To movies? Like, they're sort of on that level. It was called, what was it? Kid Sheriff. And then from there, he got onto this sitcom, like I said, which is where, with the chimpanzee and one of the... and during a birthday party sequence... one of the chimps snapped and attacked the cast, and while it's been made fun of that this happened, you know, and even he says, "Oh, you know, it's this joke. I treat it very lightly." You could later see in the film that he is very, very haunted by it. In fact, one of the, you know, it didn't kill all the cast members, but it did. Mainly the actress who played his older sister had her face ripped off, and she's the one with the disfigurement you see in the trailer. And, you know, of course, that's when... And it's around this time that the aliens start to show up, and I'll try to avoid the big spoilers here, but yeah, like I said, they bring in the Fry's electronics worker to install the surveillance system, and they basically wind up having to explain to him what's going on, and he says, well, you know, I could try to help, and they're like, no, we don't really need you for that. But he winds up helping anyway because, you know, during the early stages you are allowed to remotely tap into these systems so that you can watch them, and when they have an incident with one of the aliens, he starts to actually show some concern, and he comes out to continue helping them as best he can, and so it's like, well, he's on for the ride. They also try to call in a Hollywood filmmaker to see if he can try to get anything done and get, quote, the perfect shot. So again, they can, they want to sell it to Oprah, but I don't know what Oprah would really do with that footage. But yeah, exactly, they could use it to, you know, again, make some money and pay off these debts. And they also try to get their horses back. However, Ricky is being very coy as to whether or not those horses are back. And that leads to a big thing that happens. The movie is really good at laying tension. Like, once, I mean, the idea that it's aliens, it's in the trailer, so it's not that big a deal. But, you know, once you start seeing how this works and how everything is, and where it lays in, and the tell signs and everything, it really does get really disturbing, especially with the big revelation that comes up. So, okay. This is the spoiler section, so skip to this point. I'll try, hopefully, to stop and then not mention it again after that, okay? Okay. Alright, so basically the big revelation is, you know, they think it's aliens in a flying saucer. However, in reality, the aliens are the flying saucer, and they sort of War of the Worlds style do this, where they suck things up. And you have to actually be looking at it. If you look away or if you hide inside, they don't see you. You need to see them in order for them to attack, basically. And they suck you up and they basically digest you, and then they spit out the undigested parts. So this is obviously really falling debris from earlier in the film that killed Pops Haywood came in. Excuse me. Sorry, the allergies are back too, so... anyway, this is where Pops Haywood was killed earlier in the film, and from there, it's also kind of revealed that at some point Ricky encountered these aliens and seemed to have brokered a deal with them. And what he's been doing is, the horses he's bought from the ranch, he sets out and uses as part of the show to, you know, hey, entertain these folks as they go by, and, you know, so what we're going to do is I'm going to prove they're aliens by running these horses out, and, you know, usually he does it at sundown when it's really late, so it looks more like an effect. So, yeah, he sends the horse out, it gets sucked up, it runs into where the aliens are, it gets sucked up. However, because he does one in the middle of the day, everyone's looking up there, and the aliens can see everyone is looking up, and they start heading towards them, and it winds up sucking everyone in there. Coincidentally, the only one that is left behind is the horse, because it was in a container. So, yeah, okay. Let's see. One more thing I want to say is, the other thing, before we end the spoiler section. The other thing that happens is that, you know, while it was doing this, it also sucked up a horse training decoy that had some banners attached to it, and it's causing the aliens to choke, because basically you're sucked right into the alien throat, and you're, like I said, you're digested from there. And so when that happens, exactly, it starts, that's what gives the trio the idea to eventually take this alien out. So that sets up the big set piece towards the end. End spoiler section here. Okay, so like I said, the spoiler section is over now. And now, so yeah, I guess my overall thoughts on the film, it's really good. Great performances, particularly from Daniel Kaluuya and Kiki Palmer, and also Steven Yeun as Ricky. There's a really terrifying moment, in particular the child version of Ricky too, with the whole chimp attack, is very disturbing. Like I said, I'll try to avoid the bigger spoilers in this part, so I won't get too far into that more. Definitely ratchets it up the fear. It doesn't, I don't think, quite have the same contemporary commentary that Get Out and Us had, but still very unnerving throughout most of the film. The audience, for the most part, was really upset throughout. Not quite upset, but definitely disturbed and creeped out through most of it. And by the end, we're very happy the way things turned out. And so, yeah, definitely, like I said, but the only problem I have is it is a little long. It is 2.5 hours long. Added that the 20 plus minutes of trailers, which we'll get to when we get to there. And one more thing that happened, it's not so much the film's fault as it is the distributor's fault. But other than that, like I said, this is still very enjoyable. It gets an A. This might have just usurped X as my film of the year. So right away, this is getting very high regards and very deserving. You should definitely go out and see Nope.
Hi, Phil Kellogg and Dave Lubrin's here, enjoying the fact that Comedy Central is the only all-comedy network. And what better place to enjoy it than at the opera?
What is she saying now?
Well, she's saying that Comedy Central is the only all-comedy network.
What's his problem?
He doesn't believe her.
Why is she picking up that huge axe?
She's going to convince him.
That settles that.
Comedy Central, the only all-comedy network.
Spend your Saturday hanging out with the folks.
Dad, couldn't you at least wear boxers?
You're lucky I got these on. Mad TV, an all-new episode, late night Saturday.
Okay, so I briefly mentioned this in the spoiler section. If you skipped over that, my allergies are kicking up again. So if you hear me like clearing my throat and coughing a lot, that's kind of, or some breaks for coughing, that's what it is. It's nothing serious. They just kind of always hit this time of year. Anyway, it's trailer time, and we got a whole heaping load of trailers to go through. One in particular I'll focus on. Our first is Bodies, 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 then The 1,000-Yard Longing, then Barbarian, then Bros, then Beast, Fall, Bullet Train, Halloween Ends, and then we ended with Oppenheimer. And I'm going to start with Oppenheimer first. Oppenheimer, obviously it's a biopic, and it's not too much to get into there, but they put the trailer in a weird spot because normally at the theater I go to, they play the trailers, they play this thing selling the D-box seats that, you know, are the immersive experience, they rumble and stuff like that. And then they, go right into the movie. Well, in this case, they went through that, they did the trailers, they did D-box, then the movie thing comes up, Universal comes up, and then it's the trailer for Oppenheimer. Why? It confused the audience because they thought the movie was starting at this point because that's what they're conditioned to do. Now you've just angered everyone, and again, the trailer itself looked fine. I don't think it was necessarily bad, but why did it begin with that? So, yeah, that was a weird one. Likewise, I guess we had a whole load of new trailers here. I mean, the only repeats were Beast and Bullet Train. The first was Bodies, 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 which is a horror movie about a bunch of kids, like a cabin on spring break, and they start playing a kind of simulated murder mystery game that turns real, basically. After that, it was The 1,000-Yard Longing, which is the Idris Elba Tilda Swinton, George Miller Genie movie. After that, it was let's see, what was it? It was Barbarian. That's what it's about. The Airbnb horror movie. Basically, this woman shows up at an Airbnb, finds out it's occupied by apparently someone had double booked it, and the guy's like, but the guy's really nice today. Look, it's raining. This isn't a good neighbor. This isn't the greatest neighborhood. You shouldn't really be out walking around. You tell you what, you stay the night. I'll crash on the couch. You can take the bedroom. We'll try to sort things out in the morning. She's like, well, okay. And then of course she discovers that there's some sort of hidden torture chamber. It didn't seem to be that deep a movie. After that is Bros, which is a romantic comedy about a gay man who finds another gay man, but he's like not like other gay men, and that he's also kind of a he's a bit of a bro douche basically, or a himbo, but not quite as dumb. But if you get the idea, it's like he's more into athletics. He's more into, so it's not the typical gay type, if that makes any sense at all. There's also a little bit of, it's like I have to wonder how the gay community the LGBTQ community is going to react to it, because there's some points in the trailer I thought, ooh, that's going to ruffle some feathers, I think. Let's see, we have The Beast again after that, then Fall, which is a movie about some base climbers who, one of them in an accident, but loses her fiance in an accident, and gets talked into reinvigorating that spirit and climbing this giant radio tower, and they start climbing all the way to the top, and then the ladder breaks, so they're stuck there. It's from the people who made 47 Meters Down. Definitely kind of that sort of feel, or Open Water, if you remember that movie. So, yeah, that bit. And, let's see, it was Bullet Train after that. And then Halloween Ends. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. So, yeah, I think you all know what Halloween Ends is. So, yeah. Alright, the next video is going to be the random trade review on, yeah. Yeah, what did it's right over there too. Legends of the Dark Knight, Arrow in the Bad. That's what it is, sorry. Oh, I've had a lot to talk about here. Sorry. After that, it's probably going to be the recap and review for SummerSlam. Yeah, that's definitely it. And then I believe it's the premiere of She-Hulk, so that'll be the next thing we cover. And then I think right after that it's going to be the premiere of Star Wars Andor. We'll also, that's around the time I think we're going to start getting the new openings. I got just about everything set up to do new openings for all the shows. So we don't have to look for stuff that was supposed to come out in 2020 anymore. It's not quite all upcoming stuff, but it's at least reasonably contemporary in that case. So yeah, see you all next time. Hey guys, remember, you can help support my channel at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions, where you can help request a movie, even if it's something like, say, Sonic the Hedgehog or the next Purge film. I'll review it.